Hello, kindergartners. Let's take a look at what's in store for you in week 3 of your adventure in distance learning. So as you can see, I'm already logged into Canvas and My Passcode Connect. I'm going to click on Learn like we have been the last 2 weeks. And I'm going to start scrolling down here. Now, if you haven't figured out already, you can click on these arrows and that'll close all these windows that we're done with, so it's less things to scroll. So since I'm done with week 1, I closed that, and I'm done with week 2, I closed that, so I'm ready for week 3. You're going to notice this week there are 2 different pacing guides. One is a daily pacing guide, just a suggested way to spend each day of the week. You're going to notice that for ELA, Smarty Ants has been added in 3 times during the week. You're also going to notice that the math lessons are spelled out and that sometimes you may be asked to only complete part of the problem set. For you guys, this week you'll be completing all of the problem set because you're such smart mathematicians and you can handle it. Okay, the other pacing guide that you have is a pacing guide by subject. So if you so choose, if you wanted, you could do all the activities in one subject, but this week at a glance just tells you everything you're going to be doing in ELA this week, everything you're doing in reading, in math, in science, and all of your subjects. So 2 different ways to look at the week. Let's take a look at some of the activities that you're going to be doing this week, and I'm going to give you some helpful hints. For science this week, if you haven't noticed and figured it out already, once you open a science lesson, you can click here on My Progress, and you can see how many pages you're going to be reading. Now, looking at your pacing guide, it splits this over 2 days. So you might want to do 4 on Monday and do the other ones on Tuesday and complete the activity. It's your choice. So you're going to be reading about near and small, far, big and small. And you're going to be completing all of these activities. I want to show you some of the activities that tell you to print, like this one right here, comparing sizes. So it does have a little print sign by it, and that you can compare. If you have a printer, you can print these if you'd like. If not, it's not necessary for this activity. But one thing you can do is talk about it with a grown-up and answer these questions and just talk about what your answers would be. Or if you would like, you can print it out. This activity looks very similar to the one you're going to be submitting to your teacher at the end of this lesson. So if we continue on completing all of the activities all the way to the end, I'm going to skip all the way to your activity at the end. So for your activity that you're going to be turning in on Tuesday, if you're following the weekly pacing guide, this is called Near and Big, Far and Small. And again, it's not necessary that you print out this worksheet. You could just draw it on a piece of paper or type your answer, but you're going to be drawing a picture of your family and friend when they're near and a family and friend when they're far. Okay? You could take a picture of this, draw it on using drawing tools. You could print it out, or you could just draw this on a piece of paper and answer these questions on a piece of paper. That's up to you and what you have at your house. So I'm going to click back to modules and let's look. We have 2 science lessons this week. Okay, the other one is called My View from the Ground. And this one, the activity is mixed in the middle of the lesson as well as the end. So again, I'm going to check my progress. I've got 7 pages that I could split over 2 days. Okay, so I'm going to read these activities, or have a grown-up read them to me and do these activities. So you see right here on the second page, you've got this activity called My View from the Ground. And usually the activities that are in the middle of the lessons are just practice activities. But this one actually is going to be the exact same activity that you're going to be submitting to your teacher at the end of the lesson. You're going to be looking at objects in the sky during the day and at night, and thinking about if they look different near and far in the day and near and far at night. So let me skip all the way to the end so you can see that. The activity is called My View from the Ground. Again, you don't need to print this out if you don't have a printer, as long as you can show your teacher what objects look like when they're near in the night sky and far in the night sky and near in the day sky and far in the day sky, and complete these sentences. So that's it for science this week. Let's check out what's next. I'm going to close all my tabs up here. Okay, so then we've got math. Right, it's just like the weeks past, only this time you only have 3 lessons to complete this week. But if you're following the weekly suggested pacing guide, you'll complete lesson 10 on Monday, lesson 11 on Thursday, and lesson 12 on Friday. Again, remember, if you didn't bring your workbook home, and if you can't print this out, maybe you could take a picture, do your best to answer these problem sets. This week, you're going to be practicing a lot of counting and showing how many. Okay, so that is math. Let's take a look at what comes next. After we've done our math, we've got ELA. You only have 1 lesson this week, so you're going to be reading and comparing and contrasting texts. You're going to be talking about how 2 books about the same subject are alike and how they're different. And then you're going to take a quiz. So if I check my progress, check this out. There are 12 pages this week. Again, you can split this over 2 days. So you could do 6 of these pages on one day and the last 6 on the next. But I want to show you again some of the activities that say to print, but they're not necessarily to print. I love all these Magic E activities. They're so fun and so interactive. Let's keep going till we get to comparing texts. So you're going to be reading this book, Who's There?, about an owl, and you're reading another book about an owl. Or excuse me, it's called Owl Says Who. You're reading this book, and then you're going to be comparing them. Right? Now, you're not comparing the different birds in the books, you're comparing the actual books themselves. So what is different about those books? Maybe how they're written, maybe the photographs that they have, maybe the information that's inside of them. You're comparing and contrasting the texts. Again, you're just going to be talking about that with a grown-up. There's no need to print that out, and you won't be submitting it to your teacher. Then we have writing workshop. So I love this writing workshop because it's talking to you about completing sentences and writing a main topic and key details, which you've been working on the last 2 weeks. It also says that you're going to be completing this book called All About Birds. Now, the end of the lesson does not ask you to submit this to your teacher, but it is a fun activity and a good way to practice your writing. So if you so choose to make a book all about birds, here's a little template for you, or you could make your own book, but you won't be submitting it to your teacher. The end of the lesson is actually a quiz. And you've done quizzes before. You're going to take the quiz, and then you're going to submit it, and it'll be graded for you. And you'll be able to see, whoops, I went too far. You'll be able to see what your score is. I went too far because I clicked that green arrow when I got to the quiz. You know we have to push next, so we can see the quiz about birds. And that's our assignment for ELA for this week. That's it. You're comparing and contrasting for practice, and then you're taking a quiz. And then as we move on, you've got your reading log for the week. Remember, the important thing is that you're reading every single day. If you don't have a printer to print out the fancy log, that's okay, as long as you're writing down and documenting what you're reading and telling your teacher about it. And then same thing for the PE log. If you don't have a printer to print out the fancy log that's there, just writing down the activity that you're doing, making sure that you're moving your body 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's 150 minutes, friends. Making sure you're getting a chance to move that body. Okay? Then we're looking at social studies. I want you to pay attention here because somebody was working really hard and got really tired, and they put these two activities in reverse. So this is actually what you're submitting, and this is actually your lesson. So you need to do the lesson first before you do the submitting. Okay? So if you were to click on this first and then click backwards, you're going to end up back in your reading log. So make sure you click the lesson first. It looks like a little paperclip symbol next to it. And for this lesson, you're going to be talking about working and earning, and making sure that you complete all these activities. Let's see how many pages are on this one. It's only 5 pages. If you're following your weekly progress or suggested sheet, this is going to be completed on Friday. And since it's only 5 pages, you will be able to finish it in one day. Here's your lesson summary and your review. And then your assignment, which is working and earning. Now this does have a bit of cutting out to do. So it's having you cut out what is buying, getting paid, and working, and matching it in these squares. But if you don't have a printer, you could draw it. You could take a picture of it on your laptop or iPad and draw on it with the drawing tools and then filling in these sentences. But this is what you'll be submitting to your teacher for them to review. And then for art and music, you've got fun activities this week. Art, you're going to be making a silly circle profile picture, just like the art of Lois Earhart, who is a famous author and illustrator. And she does a lot of her illustrating just using circles. So you're going to be learning what a profile is, looking at some of Lois Earhart's work, and then creating your own silly circle profile. I think this one's nice and fancy. It looks like they use colored paper to make their profile. You could do that. You could use paint. You could use colored pencils or crayons, or you could just draw in a pen with pencil. The important thing is you're making a profile using circles. And you're following this rubric. So to make sure you get all 10 points, you're going to make sure that your profile has all of these things included. And then for music, you're going to be taking a quiz after you learn more about tempo. So you're going to be listening to some different pieces of work and listening to their tempo. I love this part. Love, love, love listening to all these fun videos. And then your quiz, you're going to listen to this teacher go on a lion hunt, and you're going to answer 2 questions about the tempo in the song. All right, kindergartners, that's a lot of work for you to do this week, but I know you can handle it because you're such smart learners. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask your teacher. Have a good learning week this week.